lady of the moment. And Paula, it was one of the most dominant wins we've seen in these championships for many a year.
It was, and a big step up for this young lady who's really underlined her talent as a half marathon runner, and she can really move on from this and I think run faster over the half marathon distance.
Here to the city of running. We're in Valencia on the east coast of Spain, about 300 kilometers south of Barcelona, for this IAAF Trinidad Alfonso World Half Marathon Championships Valencia 2018, to give it its rather grand complete title. It's the 23rd edition of these World Half Marathon Championships, and this is a city that we know produces fast running again and again. The local organising committee are a very dedicated crew. Netsanet Kebede, her first race of 2018, she won here in 2015 in 67.31 and improved that best to 67.26 in Delhi last November. So some fabulous names on the front line there in this women's field. Here we go. Well, they get underway then. The racing has started at the IAAF Trinidad Alfonso World Half Marathon Championships.
If you do want to run hard, then what you want to do is make it a race where everybody is racing in the same conditions, so you string it out as fast as possible from the beginning so that everybody is running into that headwind and everybody has the same conditions to fight against throughout the race.
A few hundred meters, like they set off at a pretty healthy clip. Trying to see, just looking at the map again, whether or not they had the wind behind them. I think they have a tailwind at the moment, sorry, a side wind at the moment. It should be coming from their left.
Yeah, I think through the first kilometre they had a small kind of mix, 50-50 into the wind and then with the wind behind them. We might get...
Athlete in history who won the Iraq Half Marathon last month, just missing the world record by 1 second, and Mary Wasira, who's a very, very strong athlete, indeed the bronze medalist 2 years ago. Now, there's a host of great Kenyan athletes back home in Kenya who would love to have been named as reserves, and in particular, I think Chalimo was one of them who would like to have been there. They didn't name any reserves, though, the Kenyan Federation. Joan Chalimo it was, who ran 65 minutes in RAC last month, and she's having to sit and watch this. Quite bizarre, really. But nonetheless, the Kenyans with a strong trio, and as long as they all come home, then they have a good chance of that team title.
Yeah, they do. I don't know if Bahrain have a full team, but Bahrain also have a strong contingent out there. And of course, there's the Ethiopians. But outside of that, I think there are openings for other teams to be able to come through and maybe get a podium finish as a team.
So very healthy indeed. And there have to be some optimists in that lead group, Paula. I know that there are, 14 women in the race who have broken 70 minutes, but goodness me, operating at 66-minute tempo is a different kettle of fish.
Yeah, and I think it maybe reflects slightly the differing mentalities or racing mentalities that we see from the different continents. And certainly the Kenyan athletes have a lot more of a kind of just hang on as long as you can mentality to racing rather than trying to pace it perfectly to finish.
I suppose she's entitled to be feeling the tempo. She is more of a marathon runner. Jep Kosgei, of course, there in the centre with that vest just hanging outside her. That red vest hanging outside her black shorts is yet to delve into marathon territory. It'll be one of the most exciting debuts when she does. But that leading group, as we can see names coming up on our screens, Markonen of Bahrain, Coates of Canada, Mekonnen is there as well. But it is a group dominated by the Africans. And it's almost as though they're paying some sort of deference to Jep Kosgei, isn't it? Because there's three Kenyans across the front, Jep Kosgei in the centre, Kamulu to the left, Chepngetich to the right, then those green and red and yellow Ethiopian colours tucked in behind them. It's of Peru, Gladys Tejeda of Peru there at the back of that chasing group. Looks like she's working very hard to stay with them. And there's another aspect to this running style of Jep Kosgei, the world record holder. Because she lopes, she's got a long, powerful stride. It makes her look even more relaxed. 15:39 there for 5 kilometres has just come up on the screens. And is that another athlete dropping away off the back of the group? I think Chalimo, Rose Chalimo, the world marathon champion, has gone some time ago. Yeah, Rose Chalimo to the right of picture there. It's Kamulu of Kenya, the 23-year-old who's a 68-minute athlete at her best, who is just peeled off the back of the...
That so has come into this race as a bit of a tune-up and maybe found that it's a little bit more of a tune-up than she's ready for with those miles in her legs.
Well, there's the team positions at 5 kilometres. Kenya out in front, but the other teams expected to be up there were as well. Ethiopia too. So at 5K, Kenya with a healthy, well, I say a healthy lead. Of course, there's still plenty of Ethiopians right up there, so almost identical team times. Romania, France, USA. It's a well-supported event, this. Really good representation from around the world. Although the IAAF as a global body has something like 220 federation members to this lead pack, where Jepkosgei is just continuing and insisting on keeping her nose in front. So there's no sense of tucking in for her, is there? And do you think that's because she wants to impose not only her physical presence on the pack and maintain a very healthy tempo up front, but psychologically it says something too?
Yeah, I think it does. And I think even the way that she runs, the manner that she looks around as she just did then and controls the field, she's almost reminiscent of a boxer rather than a runner. And she kind of likes to fight in the races and really take it to the other athletes and to make them hurt. You can see already her head's kind of nodding a little bit. Not that I can really make any judgment on that, but she's really fighting with each stride, but also at the same time efficient in the way that she runs, and she likes to turn the screw and test people. And without a doubt, that result in rack would have hurt her ego, would have hurt her confidence, and she wants to rebound from that with a strong run. She knows the streets of Valencia. She's run very fast here before, and she probably wasn't too happy to see the win, but just thought, well, okay, I'm going to get out there and make everybody hurt in the conditions today.
And this big field, 160 men from 71 nations, pours across the bridge in front of good crowds. Now, once they have passed the athletes, and of course there's the mass race behind, some almost 15,000 involved in that. The crowd 09 this year as new Swiss national record, in fabulous form and clearly on top of his game, oozing confidence to go to the front in a field of this caliber. And there is that mass field pouring through the line, and they'll be doing that for quite a time if there are anything like 15,000 of them. Spain, of course, with a rich tradition in distance running. We can go back to the women's race, though. 27 minutes on the clock. They're spread across the road here. That would suggest, Paula, they're certainly not running into a strong wind here.
Yeah, when they're more in single file formation, then it would suggest that there's a bit stronger a wind. We can also see that the pack has whittled down quite considerably, and there's what I make it 6 in there now, and so that screw has obviously continued to be turned by Jepkosgei, and it's starting to give her some good rewards as she sees that group get smaller and smaller. That will cause her confidence to grow. Well,
Gudeta, we just saw the drop out of shot. She's had to pull back away from this group. Zinash Mekonnen is feeling the pain as well. Only 21 years old. She's got a personal best of just 71.27. Now, I know that was done in Ethiopia at altitude, but nonetheless, they're sending athletes here, the Ethiopian Federation, who are very, very inexperienced, might be a little bit overawed by the occasion. Having said that, the commentator's curse might go all inverse and she'll win the race. But anyway, well before halfway, she's looking okay. But these are big, but now we're back in shot with that leading quintet, is it? And they are flying. Maybe the wind behind them at this part of the course, but the difference between the tempo they seem to be laying down here with that picture we had just now of the second group is quite marked.
Yeah, it's marked. So I would suggest that does indicate that they may be not into a headwind, but also that the pace has significantly picked up. So it's not that group, the second group, has slowed down. They've just not been able to respond to the surge that has been put in place by Kebede as well as Jepkosgei at this point.
Well, Eunice Chumba at the back of the group for Bahrain. There are 5 in this lead group now. Belete is there, Meseret Belete, just 18 years old, Belete, and she's up in this leading group of 5. Her best time 70 minutes 35. At the moment, she's on tempo to break that by something like 4.5 minutes. It's astonishing. Now, you know, the only thing we've got to remember is that these young Ethiopians, Paula, might have relatively modest times on paper, but if those were done at 7,000 feet or 8,000 feet up in Addis Ababa, well, you can lop several minutes off it, can't you, to get the sea level equivalent. About a minute down and maybe more from Kebede. Jepkosgei and Kamulu, with Chumba in 4th place, Belete in 5th, a couple of seconds down, and then another 10 or 11 seconds back to Yima and Mekkonen. Mekkonen further 10 seconds back in 7th place. So the official time, in fact, 31:38 at 10K, so it's 15:59. The lead from Julian Wanders of Switzerland. That was a European under-23 record Wanders set, by the way, as well as a national record for the Swiss. But what do you think is going through the mind of Kumuriyama here, out in front with a pack of what, 50, 70 world-class athletes, many of whom much faster than him, just on his shoulder almost. It's a bizarre shot. Well, here's that lead quartet in the women's race. Kebede is still attacking and running very aggressively, and she's a youngster, is Kebede. I mean, goodness me, this is a surprise. Well, I say a youngster, she's 27. Ran that personal best in Delhi last November. 67.26 Kebede, but she's moving at a quicker tempo here. It'll be interesting to see their 15-kilometre split, whether or not they've maintained the tempo through this third 5-kilometre section. But she is a good track runner. She's run just outside 30 minutes, and the damage has been done here by Kebede, who seems to be getting quicker all the time. 3:11 the average pace to this point in the race, so it has slowed a little from early on.
It has, but when you factor in that a big proportion of that middle section has been into a headwind, you can see the damage that it's done. But also in this shot, you can see the inexperience in a way of Kebede, because the blue line marking the shortest line on this course is far away on the right-hand side of the course, and out of our shot behind, that's the line that Jepkosgei is running on. So she's actually just run a shorter section of the course around that bend, because Kamula is just in her trying to hang on to the back of Kebede. She has just followed the longer line that Kebede has taken, who in turn is trying to get a little bit of shelter maybe from the lead vehicle in front, and trying to just use that in some way just to get a little bit of rest in the windy sections. But she's doing huge damage to the runners behind her, and she looks really strong.
Well, she looks like she's got a tailwind all the time. She's got a slight forward lean to her stride. She's powerfully built in the legs, is Kebede, and she is pouring it on here. And I suspect, I don't know, but I suspect she's aware that she's got this gap in Jepkosgei. I haven't seen a glance round. Maybe she's getting shouts from team management on the sidelines, but she has been accelerating all the time over this last 3 or 4 minutes. And the
tougher section to race as well, and you can see how much of a surge that's been by the damage that it's done to the women around her. And Kebede, she must be feeling tired, but she looks very strong, very relaxed, very focused. She's looking slightly over her shoulder when she turns corners, just to get an indication of what's happening behind her, but she's not looking over her shoulder in a way that indicates that she's worried, and that would give the others chasing her ammunition to work back to her.
So are we looking at the next World Half Marathon champion? Kenyans have lifted this title on 4 out of the last 5 occasions, but the unheralded, relatively unheralded Netsanet Gudeta is a 67.26 athlete. That was last year. Is now in control. Here comes some of the chasing athletes. Yima, Belete in 5th and 6th for Ethiopia, and then Mekkonen, and Gudeta is there as well. Mokkonen for Bahrain. Some of the glorious structures, and there could be a real turn up here. One of those rare shots at this IAAF Trinidad Alfonso World Half Marathon Championship Valencia 2018, as this women's race reaches a climax. So Kebede goes through, behind her in 2nd place Kamulu, and where is
she's a confident runner. She's got a nice, relaxed arm swing that isn't using too much energy, and she looks like the type of athlete who can progress from this and build up to she should be able to run a much quicker marathon than she has done.
Well, we're getting spots of rain here in our commentary position by the finish line, so that rain is spreading across the city. And Kebede, there are her splits, 15:39, 15:59, 15:52 for the 3 5K sections they've negotiated so far, and surely this final one will be quicker still. 47:30 at 15 kilometers. The wind, the rain is increasing all the time, and in fact now it's pouring down here near the finish line. And I made a joke earlier about the rain in Cardiff 2 years ago. Well, my apologies to all those of you with any Welsh connections whatsoever, because this is almost a photocopy of the conditions in Cardiff, albeit it's come late in the race here.
It's going to be gone in 2 seconds. It's blowing straight through, and there's blue sky and sun behind it.
You're confident, are you, Paula? Well, you live in the Med, so you should know. Kamulu, though, is at the races for the world record holder. Two big names withdrew, remember, from the Kenyan squad. Fancy Chemutai and Mary Rasira. And their federation must have thought, well, don't worry, we've got Joycelyn out there. Joycelyn Jepkosgei, our banker, our world record holder, the athlete who will retain the title for us. But that does not appear to be the case, as Kebede strides on through one of the shopping districts in the centre of town. The crowd behind the railings roaring her on. She's enjoying this. A little glance over her shoulder there. That's one of the first times I've seen her do that. But the signal she will have got back, as we see, an average tempo of 3:10. She has accelerated over the last 10 minutes or so. The message she will have got back from that glance over her shoulder was all the good news she needed, and that will have given her that extra little surge of adrenaline too, Paula. Say 20 seconds plus.
Yeah, and Kamula looks a lot more tired than she did the last time that we looked at her. So I think we are seeing her really start to pay the price for having tried to go with Kebede for as long as she did. And will she now come under threat from the two chasing behind her?
Well, Kamulu doesn't have great track speed. She's got a best at 5,000 metres at 14:58, but that's some way off the really best in the world. There's very little on her CV, it has to be said. A couple of years ago, she was 7th in the African Cross-Country Championships, and she's suffering at the moment in 2nd place behind this unrelenting form of Netsanet Kebede. We know she's got good strength from her marathon best of 2:29. We know she's got wonderful track speed as a 30:36 10,000 metre runner. She was 3rd in the World Cross Country 3 years back in China. Torn the heart out of the rest of this field, destroyed them, never gave them a sniff of getting back to her. It's been absolutely fabulous. And as she comes towards the finish zone now, she will very soon be in sight of the finish. 64 minutes on the clock. Remember that time she's aiming for, the women-only world record here in Valencia, and what a reward it would be for the fabulous organisation we've seen and the fabulous work of all the volunteers here in the city. Back in 2007, 66:25, when Lorna Kiplagat took the 2nd of her 3 consecutive titles. She could go under 66 minutes here. Jepkosgei has passed Kamulu. Good timing from her. If you can't win, then the silver is the next best thing. But in 2007, the championships was in Udine, Italy, in a gloriously fast, flat course on the coast. Well, here it's been similar conditions, and it's been enjoyed by none more than it has been by Kebede. Netsanet Gudeta Kebede of Ethiopia is heading for the biggest win of her life. Grey clouds above us, mixed with blue sky, probably about 50-50. But this is a race now between two compatriots. We didn't expect this, not so far behind a runaway winner.
No, we didn't expect this, and Jepkosgei has worked hard to get herself back into that silver medal position. You can see in their 5 kilometre splits, they've run 15:59 for Kamula and 15:55 for Jepkosgei. So that's why Jepkosgei has managed to work her way back, and that's also why with the 15:23, Kebede has been able to move so convincingly away, and she can see her target ahead of her. She knows the building that she's aiming for. It's a beautiful finish that they've structured here to this race, and she's going to be able to really enjoy that. And can she get under that 66 minutes?
Well, hard to tell. She's almost inside of us here by the finish line. The glorious isolation of the long-distance runner, the loneliness of the long-distance runner. Well, it's a long-distance winner today. And the long distance with 200 metres to run, she's got about 30 seconds to get under 66 minutes. I don't think she's going to do that. But we are witnessing, ladies and gentlemen, a world record on the streets of Valencia today in a women's-only half marathon. And it makes a huge difference having males around you, pacemaking, competition alongside you the whole way. She has been in isolation for the second half of this race, certainly the last 20 or 25 minutes. And she's into the home straight now in this glorious city of the arts and the sciences. Kebede is going to be world champion here. Look at her form as she comes towards the line. This IAAF Trinidad Alfonso World Half Marathon Championship, Valencia 2018, goes to Ethiopia in the women's race. Netsanet Kebede wins there unofficially in around 66.12. Jepkoska is really hurting here. The grimace all too apparent as she just takes that last left turn onto the home straight and onto the blue matting down between the lakes that cover so much of the city of arts and sciences. 66.23 the winning time for Kebede. Brilliant stuff from the Ethiopian, and still good running this from Joycelyn Jepkoska to take the silver medal, with Kamulu, her teammate from Kenya, only about 20 metres back. She crosses the line unofficially in 66.53, and Kamulu there in about 66.56. A couple of seconds down, 2 or 3 seconds down. But Ethiopia get the top spot today. And Kebede, well, what a special run it is from her. 66.11.
We've seen two different times come up. We've seen the 66.23, but she actually crossed the line the way I was looking at the clock, and 66.11, and that's what's come up on our monitors.
Well, if that is the case, then it's very, very different to what is on our screen. So apologies for that slight confusion. 66.11 indeed. Paula's quite right. A women-only world record is on our computers, but on the screen, a time fully 12 seconds different. That will be sorted out very promptly, I'm sure. The organisation of this event in every respect so far prior to this has been absolutely superb, and now it is official. 66.11 for Kebede. Jepkoska the silver for Ethiopia, for Kenya behind the Ethiopian. Kamulu the bronze, and now the minor places being battled out, and 68 minutes there is still great running. Chumba did take 4th place, Yima 5th, Belete 6th, Makonin 7th for Bahrain, Gudeta of Ethiopia 8th. So all those young Ethiopians, well, they've hung on pretty well, placing in the top 10. It's been a bit of a baptism of fire for them, with now 68.5 minutes just coming up on the clock. Gudeta, Abdul Kadir goes through for Bahrain, Eshete for Bahrain. But there is the lady of the moment. And Paula, it was one of the most dominant wins we've seen in these championships for many a year.
It was, and a big step up for this young lady who's really underlined her talent as a half marathon runner, and she can really move on from this, and I think run faster over the half marathon distance, because conditions today, let's face it, she's run a women's only world record in conditions that are very tough out there.
Well, she's won here today by no less than 43 seconds. She destroyed the field over the second half of the race and is a very worthy winner. Confirmation then of that win for Netsanet Gudeta Kebede of Ethiopia, a world record in a women's only half marathon. No men involved on this occasion. Joycelyn Jepkoska and Pauline Kaveke Kamulu making it silver and bronze for Kenya. The team race will be tight, although Ethiopia there with 5th and 6th, I think, have nailed it through Yima and Belete. That is unofficial, of course. Gudeta backing them up well in 8th place. And Chumba, it's got a special feel to it, the World Half Marathon Championships. Let's just confirm for you that win as we see a slow motion replay of the form of Kebede. Netsanet Gudeta Kebede to take that women's title. Not quite the same celebrations for her down the home straight, but a more convincing win all the same for Netsanet. Get to you as quickly as we can. But in the meantime, let's confirm that win for Jeffrey Kamoro, 60.02. He does have a first name, Jeffrey. Abraham Cheraben, 60.22. It was a 20-second margin between silver and gold. And Kifle taking the bronze, 60.31, in a personal best for the Eritrean. Quite fabulous. Jamal Yima, Mola Getahun, what packing from the Ethiopians, 4th, 5th and 6th. That's the team title there for the Ethiopians. They've been able to turn over the Kenyans on this occasion. Day before these championships, but it is first of all the 3 female medalists who will step forward. In 3rd place, a young athlete about whom I have not heard a great deal in years gone by, but I'm sure I will in years to come. Just 23 years old, Kenya's Pauline Kamulu takes the bronze medal. Her time 66.56, some 45 seconds behind the winner, just 2 seconds behind the silver medalist. Here she is, Pauline Kebede. I wonder if this is something she'll have to get used to, this young lady. She's run 31:47 for 10,000 metres on the track, just under 15 minutes for 5,000 metres, but has never run in any senior championship before. She has run in the World Junior cross country, but I think she'll be seeing a lot more Kenyan vests in years to come. The silver medal just 2 seconds in front of her teammate, Joycelyn Jepkosgei, still smiling, the world record holder, still the world record holder, but beaten today by a much better athlete on the occasion of this 23rd IAAF World Half Marathon Championships. Her time 66:54, just a couple of seconds ahead of Kamulu, 43 seconds down on the astonishing winner though. And while we know the name of Netsanet Gudeta, and she's placed highly in these championships before, 6th and 4th in the last 2 championships, we didn't expect such a dominant win from this Ethiopian. A women's only world record, 66:11 for Kebede, as she's been called, Gudeta, in all the notes handed out around the championships. She didn't finish the Dubai Marathon back in January, a couple of months ago. Well, that maybe was a wise decision, whatever the reason. She was 6th in the Paris Marathon last year, but in a fairly modest 2:29. But she has real strength, good speed, and today she combined those to produce certainly the biggest win of her life. And at the age of 27, she is world champion. It's been a good few weeks for the Ethiopians. Just last month, they took several titles in the World Indoor Championships in Birmingham, UK, and today they have another glorious gold through this young lady, Netsanet Gudeta Kebede. Ethiopia, sandwiched by a brace of Kenyans, but spoils go to the Ethiopians. And they took the team race as well, let's forget, with Kebede, Yima and Belete, their scoring trio. So it will be double gold for Kebede. And we will see her again in a few minutes when the teams step forward.
And we now have a special presentation. It is a check for $50,000 for a new women's-only world record of 66 minutes and 11 seconds, presented by IAAF President Sebastian Coe to the winner, Netsanet Kebede of Ethiopia.
Well, Kebede's winning check, $50,000. Sebastian Coe, the president of the IAAF, stands alongside her there as she receives her prize money for victory at these IAAF Trinidad Alfonso World Half Marathon Championships, Valencia 2018 women's race. That's not a bad little paycheck to take back to Addis Ababa. Kenya took the team title 2 years ago from Ethiopia, but they've turned the tables on this occasion, have the Ethiopians. Japan taking the bronze medals in Cardiff 2 years back.